It's the young people. Oh my gosh. Yeah. They are so self-assured. Nobody is telling them what to be,
right,
and who to be,
and how to live,
and who to love.
Howdy, Sarah Cunningham here. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the founder of Free Mom Hugs.
And I'm Katrina Cobb. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the program director and social media manager for Free Mom Hugs. And we are part of an amazing team.
Our mission at Free Mom Hugs is to empower the world to celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community through visibility, education, and conversation.
And in our first season of the Free Mom Hugs podcast, we're focusing on Pride 365, keeping queer kids alive. In the second episode of Pride 365, Keeping Queer Kids Alive, we'll be visiting with another mom of a gay son who became a force in the world of LGBTQ equality here in Oklahoma. She's an amazing example of how a mother's passion can create a wave of change not only for her own child, but for the LGBTQ community as a whole.
We want to take a minute to shout out to our leaders and volunteers in every state. They are the example of devotion to celebrating Pride and the LGBTQ+ community 365 days a year. You know, we would not be making the impact across the country without them. They are truly a life-saving force.
Chasten Buttigieg was asked on an elevator at our Love Revolution conference, "What is Free Mom Hugs?" He responded simply, "It's a group of moms keeping queer kids alive."
Dear friends, if you find yourself needing support and someone to talk to, please don't hesitate to call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or reach out to our friends at the Trevor Project at thetrevorproject.org. And remember, you are not alone. All young people, regardless of sexual orientation or identity, deserve a safe and supportive environment in which to achieve their full potential. Harvey Milk. Hey friends, on the very first podcast, we talked about Carrie. We talked about Carrie being angelic and very pure and fun-loving and very prude. We talked about how Katrina and I have tarnished Carrie with our language. But Carrie is our executive director, and she wears many hats. But more than anything else, this was her bright idea. So we want to introduce you to Carrie Fletcher Rollins, our executive director, and none of us would be here without her.
That is the truth. Carrie came to us in 2020, unknowing what she was walking into and unknowing that COVID was also coming. And y'all really... But all that to say, Sarah and I have talked about a podcast forever and wanted to do it, and it just wasn't the right time, and we didn't have the bandwidth. And
I never wanted to do it.
Okay, I always wanted to do a podcast. But here's the deal. Carrie came along and pushed us, thought it was a great idea.
She prodded.
And here we are today. And I just want to ask Carrie, why
what the
today?
Hell were you thinking?
But why, Carrie, did you feel like the time was right? And no matter how busy we were, we need to do a podcast. Now's the time.
Now's the time. Hello, everyone. Carrie Fletcher Rollins. And Sarah, I was okay with that introduction until you used the word prude.
I'm sorry.
That
You're
was
not
hurtful.
Prude.
That hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. I'm prude.
We're going to have a talk about that when we're off mic. Yes, so podcast. Yes, here we are. When I started in 2020, in all honesty, there were conversations about a podcast then. And I think you said it, Katrina, it was never time.
Right.
We just had too much other stuff to do to add one more thing to our plate.
Putting the plane together in the air is our phrase.
Yes, and we're still putting the plane together in the air for this organization. But for me, the light bulb moment for me that we need to do the podcast was last year at the conference, our very first conference in Oklahoma City.
Which was also your idea.
Yes. This executive director, who is prude, had the idea to do this conference, and also revisited the idea of having this podcast. So Sarah was on stage having conversations, and it was just how things were set up for the conference. And she's just a very natural, gifted speaker, and having conversations with people. And I thought, we really need to revisit having a podcast, because we have the talents and the gifts for it, with Sarah and then Katrina, the two of you and your banter together. You're just so natural. We get that. But yeah, a podcast, we're going to reach a different audience with podcasts. And we can have speakers, we can have stories, we can have just different dialogue on a podcast and reach an audience that we're not already reaching.
I know we have moments sometimes where it kind of feels like we've plateaued and everyone who is going to know about Free Mom Hugs knows about Free Mom Hugs, and we're capped out. And then it's like, no, there's a lot of people that still don't know about Free Mom Hugs, and how do we find them and how do they find us? So hopefully this is another way.
That's one of the many things I love about you, Carrie, is that you see, but no, I'm being serious now. I was teasing you. That was nervous energy, but really you see the potential in everyone, not just me, not just Katrina, but our volunteers. You always see the potential. You always see the good. And I really do appreciate that. I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, in the midst of it being Pride season, it is also graduation season. And we have a graduate in our midst. Miss Sarah Cunningham received an honorary doctorate of humane letters from Phillips Theological Seminary in Tulsa. And it was pretty amazing. And I think it just shows how anyone can change the world if you want to. And Sarah, there you were on the stage. Yes. Give us a little nugget of what you said to those graduates in front of you.
Well, first of all, I want to say that when my two friends, Kathy and Sandy, invited me to lunch, I had no idea what they were about to present me with. And when they informed me that I had been nominated and awarded an honorary doctorate, I had no idea what that meant. I sat in my car afterwards, after lunch, and Googled it.
Hit the Google, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was very taken back by it, very honored, and just the magnitude of it all. So I get to Phillips Seminary, and I'm in this room with all these graduates who have dedicated 4 years of their life to this degree. And I just was overtaken with emotions. Felt like I did not deserve to be there at all. But they welcomed me in. They just celebrated all the achievements, and I walked up on stage, and I mean, I had all the garb, like the hat.
You look pretty good in it.
I think
you might
so.
try to wear it more often
like
if you
can.
can.
Jeep. I'm going to put it on when I get out here. I'm wearing it every day. Yeah. But it's like, what do you do with those things? Like, I need to have it framed or something. But anyway, it was such a incredible, emotional, profound. I'm still soaking in it. It was just so wonderful and unexpected.
Right. And I know one of the things that you said on stage was you referred to having a 10th grade education and speaking, I say kids, but to us they're kids, but grown adults, letting them know how much more they can do with what they have spent those 4 years doing. And I think you really empowered them. And I know you empowered other women who can be activists and make change just out of your heart, out of your passion.
Mm-hmm. I really do believe that. Like, even though I was limited in my own education, like I realize how limited even my vocabulary is, or just to be able to go on with an educational background to how much more you can do when you're educated.
Right.
And especially in the area or the arena of spiritual things.
Right.
You know, I heard someone say that there's no greater weapon that you can use against someone than their faith. And to have a well-rounded understanding and good theology is just life-changing, empowering. So, yeah, I said I wanted to encourage the students there that how much more they could do now that they had all this knowledge and that they were equipped and set up for success in whatever endeavor, wherever they went, they were equipped to take the good news.
Yeah. And I want to read something that one of your friends from graduation, Todd, wrote about you on the Facebook. He said, "I don't believe I've ever been more proud to be connected to Phillips Theological Seminary than today. Such an honor to be part of presenting Sarah Cunningham with an honorary doctorate of humane letters. Her words were moving and inspiring." Quote, you said, "As someone raised to be rapture ready, maybe the rapture is really about the time we all just get it. And everyone is loved." Now, secretly, Todd had apparently gathered all of the gay and trans students together and had a great idea and said, when Sarah comes off the stage, what if we all surprise her and go hug her? What was that like?
Well, unexpected, but I had this amazing experience on stage, seeing the attendees, their families, and the students there. And I have that amazing experience. And then to walk off the stage and have a line of beautiful people waiting. And I said, really, literally, what's happening? What's going on? And Todd, this beautiful, he's probably 6 foot mountain of a man.
Right.
And he said, "We're part of the gay community here at Phillips, and we want to offer you a hug."
Yeah, we're here to hug you.
I mean, listen, we cried that our bellies were touching each other, quivering. Like, that's the kind of crying that we had there.
Noise-making cry.
It was weird, but it was wonderful because our bellies were touching, but we were crying.
Right. Well, and I want to say at the very end, Todd said, "People are literally alive today because of a mom who made a homemade button and went on to learn about her son's community and unintentionally started a movement."
Oh, thank you, Todd. Such a good man. And he's married. His husband, it was actually his husband's idea to have the community line up and hug me after.
That's awesome.
The ceremony. Yeah. It was listen. I've had some highlights in my life, but that was definitely top of the list.
Sarah, what's good on social media these days?
Free Mom Hugs. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And we have a YouTube channel too that has all of our videos and panels. And our website is full of valuable information that helps people on their journey, whether they're an LGBTQ person or the parent of an LGBTQ person. You can also find ways to get involved, donate, and purchase authentic Free Mom Hugs merchandise. Sarah, have you heard people call the OG Free Mom Hug shirt the billboard of Free Mom Hugs?
Yes, I love our logo. It's recognized worldwide. And when people see someone in a Free Mom Hug shirt, whether it's at a Pride Festival or the veterinary office or the post office, they know that they're with a safe person, and it sends a message that you are a strong and faithful ally. And I love that our merchandise supports the mission of Free Mom Hugs. The funds go directly to impact our programs. Each dollar reaches far and wide and makes a difference to the community that we serve.
Go to freemomhugs.org today.
When I first started the journey, I spent nights searching the internet for some sort of parental guide or spiritual protocol for a gay intervention. I found a couple adult ministries that dealt primarily with sex and gambling addictions, and one organization that worked with persons 18 or younger, but the services offered were vague, and online reviews from parents were terrifying. Horror stories surrounded reparative therapy from both religious and secular organizations, and the least threatening was the PFLAG organization, designed for parents, family, and friends of lesbians and gays. True story here, embarrassing to admit now, but I swear, I thought the acronym read Parents in Favor of lesbians and gays. And I figured at that time, since I was not in favor of anything gay, it was not an option. If I had to do this all over again, I would have checked into PFLAG. It could have saved us all a lot of grief. I am so proud to be able to introduce to you Kay Holladay. Kay Holladay has been a PFLAG mom since 1995 when she co-founded a PFLAG Norman chapter whose mission is to support, educate, and advocate on behalf of LGBTQ plus people and those who love them. She and her husband, Don, have 3 adult children, one of whom is gay. David has been married to his husband, Stephen, for more than 20 years, and they live in California. When David came out in high school, there was no support for the Holladay family. Therefore, it was an enthusiastic yes when a close gay friend asked Kay to join him in starting a PFLAG chapter. Over the past 29 years, she has educated countless people, including myself, about acceptance, affirmation, and support through PFLAG. Support groups as well as presentations in Norman schools, family-related local and state nonprofits, and the University of Oklahoma. Kay is a member of the PFLAG National Board of Directors and served as a PFLAG Regional Director for 6 years, helping chapters in Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Kay and her husband, Don, have been married for 61 years and live in Norman. Don is a retired litigation attorney and was the lead counsel pro bono in Oklahoma's marriage equality case, which culminated in victory on October 6, 2014, before the SCOTUS ruling in 2015.
Welcome, Kay. We're so glad to have you today. And we just want to say that Kay is here as our friend and fellow mom activist, not as a representative of PFLAG National or the Oklahoma chapter. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you for having me.
And I would like to take a moment as a late in life comer outer who found my wife at age 50 to thank Kay and her husband, Don, for paving the way that I could actually find the love of my life late and get married because of the work that they did. So thank you, Kay.
You're welcome. Don't make me cry.
Okay. Oh, it's going to happen 4 or 5 times. Just wait.
Kay, I remember seeing you first in the Oklahoma City Pride Festival, I think in Norman, and you were carrying that bright, beautiful sign that says, "I love my gay son and his husband." And that's really a picture of you. It'll probably be on your gravesite.
I hope it is.
It's an iconic picture.
Yes,
We use it all the
thank
time
you.
on Free Mom
Iconic's
Hugs.
better
Yes.
than a gravesite. I'm sorry, Kay.
That sign's been patched up many times.
And I love that. I love that. I say you're a pillar in the community. When I first met you, I didn't know your history. And as I kept hearing about you and learning about all the things that you've done, and I'm just so impressed and proud of all that you've accomplished with so many challenges in this state. And I'm just thankful as well. And thank you for paving the way.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
What I'm curious about is when your son came out to you, did you have any difficulty understanding or accepting? I mean, were you prepared for that moment? Tell us about.
I think our story is probably not much different than many families. I always knew David was gay from the time he was 4 years old. He was always delightfully entertaining everybody in the room. He was always different, and I simply didn't have any language for that. David was born in 1964, so you can kind of roll back the decades and imagine yourself in that time when you didn't have language for the thought of, I know my kid is different. He's absolutely delightful. I don't know why he's different or what it is. And the coming out story is one that I'm not really proud of because I outed him, and every time I talk to folks, it's like, this is not something I advise you to do. Do not out your kid.
Right. But we learn by.
we learn, and of course this was in 1981, 82. So that was 42 years ago. I had no instruction book. I had no PFLAG. I had no guidance, no one to talk to. And I just noticed that he and a friend, they would come home for lunch every day and watch the soap operas. And I noticed that they were looking a little close. And after he came home from school that afternoon, I said, is there something about you and blank that I need to know about? And he was not ready to come out. He was angry with me. And Don and I actually had, as I said, we had no language, no guidance about how to have that conversation. All we knew was we loved him unconditionally, and that was it. We cried and we said, we'll figure this out. Mm-hmm. But there was a distance from David for a few months because he was really pissed off at me.
So what was the turning point? Like, what was the next conversation you had?
Well, it was an ongoing conversation, obviously, and I'll have to reiterate, you really need to take yourself back 4 decades to understand. When I say there was no one for me to talk to, there was no one. Mm-hmm. Don and I were the only 2 people that we had. I couldn't go to my pastor. Eventually, David came out in his high school, and so, trickle-down effect, people in town, and Norman is a very small community, mm-hmm. where you start getting treated differently in church, and at the grocery store, people start going in a different direction when they see you coming. It was very isolating. Mm-hmm. We all stuck together. We had 2 younger children at the time, and we did not know how to talk to them.
Just didn't have the vocabulary.
Should we talk to them? We simply did not know. And although PFLAG National was established at the time in 81 and 82, it started in 1972, it was not accessible to us. There was no internet. You couldn't just hop on and figure out how to find
do a Google search.
Resources. Exactly. There was nothing. So it was, thank God, Don and I had a good relationship at that time, and we had a shared unconditional love for David. That got us through it.
I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. It makes me think of in the 80s for me, as I didn't even know then that I was gay. Because like you say, in the 80s, there wasn't any language for it, or you saw characters on TV that were made fun of for certain behaviors and mannerisms, but you just didn't know. And so that was not an easy time. And I can imagine as a parent not having anything to go to or ask.
Well, and it was terrible for David. I mean, even to have conversations with him as a grown man, it's still traumatic.
Right. And I think that's part of what we do at Free Mom Hugs with our mission, where we talk about celebrating, because back then and even now, when a child comes out, there's this feeling of, oh, what do we do? It's a problem to solve. And, what if in the 80s, when David came out, it was celebrated and a big party was thrown, and it would just be so different. And I think even celebrating your son, and it makes me ask, like, what have you learned, or how has David being gay been a plus in your life? What do you love about having a gay son?
Well, I feel sorry for people who don't have a gay kid.
Yes.
Sorry. It's just a pure delight, and it just adds to the richness of our family. He and his husband both, absolutely. I can't even find words, because that is part of who he is. It's not all of who he is, but we all bring differences to the family, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Mm-hmm. The old thing that some people say when their kid comes out to them, gee, I wouldn't choose this why would I choose this for my kid? That rankles me, because it's like, celebrate it. It's not something you have to put up with, or you wouldn't want to change that element about your kid ever.
I love that. Now, you say you didn't have anyone to talk to. You didn't really have the vocabulary to even have the conversation with your own home. How did you get connected and become such a pivotal part of PFLAG?
Well, it took a few years. It took a few years reading. Don and I would go to the library because that's where you got your information. We would find a Time magazine occasionally, or a book, a psychology book that obviously had weird information in it. But over that decade, from 1982 to 1995, when I was kind of known in the community for being vocal. I was vocal in my church. I was vocal with my friends. We didn't hide anything because my childhood background does not allow me to have secrets, and therefore we just, if you didn't understand it, if you didn't understand we loved our gay son, and if you didn't understand what I'm speaking about right now, then I can't really help you.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of a time that was pivotal for you when you realized you could use your voice and lightning was not going to strike you?
It's funny. I think a slice of our life prepared me for this, and it was the 6.5 years that Don was in the Air Force. He's after law school. He was in the JAG Corps, Air Force. We traveled all over the country. We lived in Europe, and it was the perfect melting pot of humanity. Every hue of color in the armed forces, in the U.S. Air Force, and diversity was celebrated. And so I really think that after I came back from that, I no longer could tolerate gay jokes. I couldn't tolerate jokes about anybody who was racially different than I was. And so I sometimes laugh about the United States Air Force prepared me for having a gay son.
Wow. I love that. So you were exposed to diversity, and
yeah, we got out of Oklahoma.
Right.
And here we are.
And now you're back.
End of sentence. Well, I'm back here for a reason. I'm not willing to turn it over to them who don't understand.
That's right.
I'm here for the duration.
Kay is in the fight, a long-term activist. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you, we have 30,000 volunteers who are in the fight. They have LGBTQ kids. There's hard news every day, and exhaustion sets in. You can't deny, as a mom or as an activist, you just want to cry and crawl under your bed sometimes. So I'm thinking if you could give just a little nugget of, you have been doing this for a long time. What do you as an activist either prevent burnout, or how do you come back to the fight? What do you do for yourself to not give up but come back?
That's a great question, because it's a real thing.
Right.
And people who are activists feel it. I have latent anger issues anyway. So,
we cuss a lot, so that's okay. That's where that comes out.
I often, it was not this particular legislative year, but a year ago, I was so angry, I made myself promise to not go to the Capitol. Mm-hmm. It was the first time in 20 some odd years that I have not been to the Capitol and just try to raise hell on behalf of not only my son's rights, his husband's rights, and everybody else in Oklahoma. You have to protect yourself. You have to understand when you are feeling over the edge with anger, because you are not going to be able to convince and educate every single person. And there will be times, I had it happen just the other day on a Facebook post. It was an old high school friend who I thought was a friend.
Oh, yeah.
And I posted my pride flag out in front of my house, and she said something that was not very nice. And it's like, dang, I am way too old to understand why you don't get it.
Right.
And I feel sorry for you, but I don't have another ounce of energy to give to you.
Yep.
I'm going to go help some kiddo who doesn't have a supportive mom and dad, and I'm going to go to a PFLAG support group meeting, and I'm going to give them the love that I have, but I can't help you ignorant people out there.
Right.
Sorry.
I want to give you a standing ovation right now. Can I stand up and applaud you? Because, I mean, there comes a time when churchgoers will understand you just save your pearls. You just don't have the time or the energy. And, it reminds me of a time at the baseball field, gay days. I share this story a lot, but it was gay days at the baseball field. The youth were there with their pride flags, and not everybody got the memo. It was gay days at the baseball field. And there were people along the sidelines who I call them scoffers, but they were like looking like they were disgusted with us.
Like, why are you doing this?
Right. And there was a time that I would have gone over and tried to have a dialogue with them. But at that moment, I felt like the Holy Spirit said, you're not here for the scoffers.
No. You're here to celebrate.
Yeah. So I love that. And there's a balance between being approachable, but yet saving your pearls and focusing on pouring into the community and their families. And I feel like that's where the success of Free Mom Hugs and PFLAG. And I want to stress here for our followers that this is not a competition here. We all have the same mission, the goal in mind. I have always had the utmost respect for PFLAG.
Right.
I didn't always understand it until I got out of that bubble of fear and ignorance. But I have come to have the utmost respect for the work that has been done through the organization. I've met you. We have the opportunity to meet Brian Bond, who is doing amazing work. If you don't,
he's awesome.
Yeah, and PFLAG is really staying with the culture, staying with the times.
It's more relevant than ever before.
Is the word. Yeah. And I love that they're able to just stay in the pace.
They have jumped in there with lawsuits in Texas and other states, and absolutely they are a force to be reckoned with. And I'm very proud of Brian, our executive director.
And I love the fact that, I didn't go to my first Pride until I think it was 2015. And since I started going to the Oklahoma City Pride, I always see Kay, and I always see that sign, and there's such a level of comfort in seeing you, consistently seeing you. They're just celebrating, like you say. And I think that's so important. It's important for us as a community to have that, to have Pride to celebrate ourselves. But it really is awesome to see moms there, even like silly moms in rainbow tutus that you're super embarrassed about and you kind of don't want them to be there. It really is honestly still amazing to see moms there.
PFLAG has a saying, when you no longer need PFLAG still needs you.
Oh, I like that.
And there are a lot of parents out there who have gotten over the hump and they go, oh, I'm fine, dust off their hands and walk on. But it's like, no.
Yeah.
You need to get back and jump in one of these organizations and be there making life easier for somebody else's family.
Right. It takes all of us.
I love that. And moms do learn from other moms. Do we have time to talk about your first Pride? I mean, what prompted you to make that sign and go to your very first Pride? What was the reaction you received?
I've been going to Pride events on 39th Street from the time they started. Really? And I have missed very few. And I don't know why I made that sign, and it was so dorky, and I only had one sheet of poster board, so I had to cut it in half, and then I was going, well, I can't just hold it up. I have to have a stick, so I got a yardstick someplace in my closet, and I've got masking tape, and it really is a homemade sign.
Well, this is amazing. Homemade and homemade.
Yeah.
Your homemade sign took off. Your homemade button took off.
Exactly.
It's like,
I just wanted to express why I was there, because I never want to speak for the gay community ever. I am there to celebrate my son, and if my reflection shows off on somebody else, then yay, team.
Right.
That's what
I
did
love
it.
that. Mission accomplished. You're going to have to frame that sign sometime.
Yeah, it's going to go to the Smithsonian.
Not yet. But no, PFLAG should literally, I make a motion that PFLAG should frame that sign and put it up somewhere.
Or put it on a T-shirt.
There you go.
Oh, Oh, now.
One of my favorite photographs, though, was taken several years ago, maybe a decade ago, where I'm holding up this sign, Mr. Preacher Man with the pork pie hat showed up with the beard, and he was just preaching and telling everybody that they were going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And I snuck up behind him and held up that sign, and somebody took a picture of Mr. Preacher Man and me with the sign behind him. And it's one of my favorites.
Well, yes. That's amazing.
Well, if you still have it, please repost it and we'll share it.
I'll try to find it in my archives.
Yes.
I love it.
That's definitely a sign of pride. And Pride 365. That is K. Absolutely.
Yes. Through and through.
Yes. I want to ask you, in Oklahoma, you mentioned, the culture is very steeped in what I call American Christianity. And this is where we are again, cycling back on how dangerous all the lies are that they say are based in religion, and they aren't. And it can feel hopeless. And how do we have hope? What can we do to make that last divide? How can we attempt to change, if we can, that culture from believing what is not true about the gay community?
So are you specifically pointing to the organized religion folks? Because I can't possibly change their minds.
Right.
I really can't.
Yeah.
All I can do is do what I had to do for my husband and I for our survival in a faith community, and that was to leave our Baptist church when our favorite pastor left, and then it was all of a sudden all the conservative folks started showing up. We could not tolerate that anymore. We went to start North Haven, decided that it takes money to get your decisions passed. So we left North Haven after a while, and we started a UCC church. We traveled up to Oklahoma City to Mayflower, and I remember sitting in that pew, this was about 14 years ago, and I sobbed because this was a place where I could actually have my faith intact and love my son at the same time. And that shouldn't be a choice.
And it shouldn't be rare.
And it shouldn't be rare. But Don and I literally cried. And when the pastor said, hey, we think we want to start a church in Norman, a UCC church in Norman, we were the first ones to sign up on the committee. And so in 2012, the First Congregational Church of Norman, UCC, was founded.
It's amazing.
And if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go worship in my backyard.
That'll do.
Okay. Kay, I love you so much. I love you more now than I did at the beginning of this podcast.
And how is that possible?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's don't tell our husbands, okay?
Don't start that now, rumor.
No, I do. I just adore you. I appreciate you so much more. So much more.
I want to ask you one more question, which is kind of our every guest question. But we've talked about heavy things. What gives you hope?
Oh my gosh, there is hope. And it's not in the old geezers like me, because it's going to have to take all of the I better not say that.
Say it.
Okay.
Say it. Say it.
I feel hope. Every time I go to a PFLAG support group meeting or a pride function or anything, a PFLAG function, it's the young people. Oh my gosh. Yeah. They are so self-assured. Nobody is telling them what to be,
right,
and who to be.
And how to live.
And how to live and who to love. Nada. None of that.
Right.
That is my hope. I like to think that maybe 4 decades of paving the way, that people have been given permission to come out and be who they are, and families and moms and dads have been given permission. I don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know, but it's the young people. They are awesome in their non-binary
Right.
They are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful humans.
And they are speaking up.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't vote, I'm going to have to go get them.
Yes, you will. You all are going to have Kay Holladay to answer to. You better register and you better vote.
All you young folks out there, you better show up and vote.
And that's the call to action.
Need that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, we do. Well, I love it.
This has been
Thank
wonderful.
you, Kay. You make me think of a story, Sarah and I, when we were on the 2019 tour, the Tour of Hope. And we landed in San Francisco on Mother's Day, and we went to the Glide Church there that is known for feeding and taking care of the unhoused that are, everywhere in San Francisco. And it was one of those beautiful church experiences that I had not had in a very long time. And there were gay people worshiping and transgender people leading worship, and it was beautiful and dynamic. And the speaker there that morning, one of the things that she said was, first, women rock the cradle, and then they rock the boat. And Kay Holladay is a boat rocker.
And then they're going to rock the vote.
Oh, there it is. Snap. Signed, sealed, delivered. Sarah, listening to Kay Holladay talk about how long she has been doing this work is really amazing to me, especially in a time when there were no open doors for her at all. Like she said, she had no resources, she had no one to talk to, and yet she still chose her son over everyone and found out the information later. And I love that. And you have a phrase, and I mess it up all the time, so I'm going to have you say it, about how you wish you had a mom like you now, but I'm going to have you say it.
Yes, there's a mom out there like me then who needs to hear from a mom like me now. And Kay Holladay, when I think about Kay Holladay, I think about a strong, driven, passionate woman. Like, she does not play around.
And here's the word I think, and it's a big one, and I'm proud of myself for thinking it. It's tenacious, because I didn't know Kay back then, but she's tenacious. If she has been doing this work for decades and decades and has watched improvements come and has watched setbacks come all the time, and she has paved the way for all of us, and I'm just so grateful for her.
She has stayed the course.
She has stayed the course. Yep. And she might get mad and yell or cry in the shower like we do. But
no, I love Kay Holladay. I appreciate her so much. And I really do hope that we somehow get that sign and have it memorialized.
yeah,
She needs to be honored for all that she's accomplished.
we definitely are all grateful for her work.
She paved the way for free mom hugs.
Paved the way.
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you, Kay.
Sarah, you love your snail mail and any opportunity to read some of the great letters and messages that we get in our P.O. box. But during Pride Month, we get so many direct messages or comments or emails that talk about what free mom hugs meant in that moment at Pride. And I think we need to read a couple of those.
Yes, this one fresh in from Kathleen Wells, our Connecticut state chapter leader. And this is what they received over this weekend's Pride Festival they had there. And she writes, on Saturday, I was at Middletown Pride with my family. I grabbed as many mom hugs as I could. My mom died 14 years ago on the 6th. Those hugs were hugs from heaven. The women who hugged me told me all the things I've been longing to hear from my mom. I have since signed up to volunteer with you guys, and I look forward to hugging anybody who needs them.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
This one says, I go to DC Pride, and last year I came across a group of some free mom hugs ladies. I was reading one sign, and I started crying. She noticed and asked if she could hug me. I couldn't even say yes. I just nodded, and she drew me in for the best mom hug I could have asked for. I'm having issues with my family not accepting me, especially my mom lately, And the love you ladies offer us means so much more than you probably realize. I'm crying right now writing this and remembering it. Thank you for everything you do to let us know we are loved when we feel the complete opposite in this world to most people.
Won't you stand up, won't you stand up, won't you stand up.
That's it for this episode of Pride 365, Keeping Queer Kids Alive from Free Mom Hugs.
The podcast is produced by our friends at Good Faith Media. Learn more at goodfaithmedia.org. Our music comes from Pond 5. Our theme song, titled Stand Up, is by queer Nashville artist Heather May, spelled M-A-E. She is at Heather May Music on all social media platforms. You can listen to Stand Up and more of Heather May's music wherever you stream or download music online. Check out the show notes for more.
Join the Free Mom Hugs community at freemomhugs.org,
where you can learn, connect, and be proud.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Free Mom Hugs.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast, give us a like and rating, and tell your friends about it.
Stop what you're doing and let someone know that you love them, even if it's yourself.
Be sure to join us for our next episode. We'll be welcoming Liz Dyer, founder of the Real Mama Bears, and discussing her journey as the mom of a gay son in conservative Texas to being the founder of a 40,000-strong group of affirming moms standing up and changing the world.
Won't you stand up, won't you stand up, won't you?